What's up YouTube, it's your boy Miss Pyromaniac back again with another video, and I've been playing a lot of PoE recently, especially with the new league, Sellers of Caligar. It's fucking awesome, man. I can't have enough of this game. Like, when I first started playing this game, I didn't really like it, but the more I played it, the more I got to enjoy it, and that's how PoE goes. The more you play the game, the more fun you're gonna have. The more you understand the mechanics, the better it gets. But recently, PoE broke a new record for all-time players, and the game has been released for 10 years, and it's still breaking records. Now, this happened for many reasons, and one of them obviously is that the game is awesome. It's just ridiculously fun, and there's so much to do in the game. But another reason is, believe it or not, it's Diablo 4. So, let me explain a little bit. Blizzard, instead of spending money on the game and making it good, they decided to spend all their money on advertisements for the game. I mean, when Diablo 4 was about to release, I was seeing the advertisements every single place. TV advertisements, YouTube advertisements, all over the internet. It was just Diablo 4 this, Diablo 4 that. And as you know, like the ARPG genre is not, it's kind of a niche. Not many people know what an ARPG is, but with all this advertising, people started to know what an ARPG is, and then Diablo 4 released, and they played the game, and like the game sucked, but ARPGs in general, like the whole genre itself, it's like some people got to discover it and see how good the genre actually is, and they ended up hearing about Path of Exile and Last Epoch, so they went and tried those games out, and as we can see, PoE broke a new record. So why is PoE so good? Well, first let's look at Diablo for a second here. It's a bad game. I've already said that. Everyone knows that. It's, to be honest, I mean, you gotta give Diablo props for it being a super casual game. Like, if you're a dad and you're coming back from work, you gotta spend some time with your kids, you don't have much time to play video games. You can play this game for an hour a day, maybe even a half an hour. And that's it. If you play the game for more than, I don't know, if you play the game as a whole, like each season, if you play 15 hours, 20 hours, you've basically seen everything, you've been through everything, and you're just repeating the same old boring loop with no reward, really. Because if you look at the item chase, what is the item chase in Diablo? It's just 10% more damage, 10% more cold damage, 10% more fire damage, 10% lightning resistance. It's the same thing. The affixes are not that great. There isn't much variety, and the end game is all the same. You just run around and you kill monsters. Nightmare dungeons all feel the same. Helltides is kind of cool, but it's not that much different from Nightmare dungeons. You're essentially still doing the same thing. But that's about it, to be honest. The crafting ain't that complicated, and I guess that's the point. But still, there isn't much crafting to do. So, all in all, there isn't much variety in Diablo, and that's why it sucks. Unless you want to play it for half an hour a day, or maybe get to play it 2 hours a week. I don't know. At that point, then yeah, I recommend you play Diablo. And you know, matter of fact, if you're a new player to the ARPG genre, I actually recommend you play Diablo just to kind of get a grasp of how an ARPG plays. Like, even if you just play the game for not that long, 10, 20 hours, I mean, yeah, you're gonna get something out of it, but not too much, especially for the price point. I mean, when it released, it was $70. Now, I think you could get it on Steam for $50, which is a great choice for Blizzard, because it's definitely not worth $70. No way. So when I compare that to Path of Exile, I mean, there's so many things to do in Path of Exile. Like, it's crazy. Each season they come out with this new mechanic, and here's the cool thing, is that if the people like the mechanic in that season, they will bring it over to the base game, and it's going to be there forever. So they keep building on the base game and just adding new stuff, adding. And at the end, I mean, you look at the game and there's so much to do, and you don't even have to do all of it. You can pick what you want to do, what you like to do, what kind of activities you like. Like, some people may like Blight, some people may like Heist, maybe both. And you can spec into those and just start doing those and getting your items through those. And you can also farm currency in Heist, probably, if you're farming currency, and start trading for stuff and buying all the gear that way. Or you can just craft your gear, and the crafting is very complicated, and this is the thing with PoE, it's a very complicated video game, and that's why it's kind of hard to get into, but that's why it's so good. It's because it's complicated. If you want to like dig deep into this game and fully understand what it is, you will be rewarded. You will. All the time you put into this game is going to be worth it, because at the end you get this product. Because if you play Path of Exile and you really know what you're doing and you're just crafting these items, you know what items to pick up, you got your loot filter and you're doing this and you're just rushing through the campaign, you know where to go, you feel something special, you know, and you feel kind of smart. Even if you're dumb, you feel smart. Now, for me, I've only played the game for 200 hours and I kind of have a grasp on the basics, so that's a lot of time, and I still can't even make my own build. So you'd need at least like 1,000 hours in order to make your own build. But that's fine. I don't mind following a build guide. But that's where PoE shines, man. When you understand the game, when you know what you're doing. And as I've said in the beginning, the more you play this game, the better it's going to get. And that's basically PoE for you. It's fucking great, man. It's great. And you know, the devs, GGG Games, the people that make PoE, they're not afraid to take risks. Look at every league mechanic. Look, they take huge risks, and sometimes they're rewarded, and sometimes the mechanic sucks. But that's fine, because next league, you know, they're gonna drop some fucking fire shit. Just like this league, they literally... like it's a town simulator inside of Path of Exile. It's mind-boggling. It's amazing. I love it. I love Path of Exile. And then you compare Path of Exile to Last Epoch, and you know, Last Epoch is not bad. I fucking love Last Epoch too. Is it as good as Path of Exile? No, not really. Could it be as good as Path of Exile? 100%. Listen, Last Epoch is not as complicated as Path of Exile, but that's not a bad thing. And it's not as simple as Diablo 4, and that's also not a bad thing. So that puts Last Epoch in the perfect spot. It's right dead in the middle. So you could start playing this game and you can make your own builds and you could get really far. You don't need to watch your build guide. You don't need to have this 500 IQ. You don't have to do the 5-head shit. You could start the game, read what each skill does, and put your skill points wherever you want, and you can easily refund and start over all over again. So Last Epoch does that very well. And the class fantasy, each class feels very different from... so like if I'm playing a druid, I feel very different from a barbarian, and that feels very different from a mage. The class fantasy is there. They've nailed it down, and the skills are awesome. But it lacks in endgame. The endgame, there's really isn't much to do in the endgame. It's a little more than Diablo 4. There's a little bit more variety, but you can't compare it to Path of Exile. But keep in mind, that's how Path of Exile started. Path of Exile didn't have this huge endgame where you could do literally whatever you want. It didn't have that. They slowly built and built and built, and then they got to that point. And that's what they're really doing with Last Epoch. They're trying out season mechanics. Now, the season mechanic that they have right now, it's not that good, to be honest. It's very simple. There's not much going on. It's a simple mechanic. It's like they could do way better. They could do way better than that. But I believe in the devs. They've got a really great game, and it's half of the price of Diablo 4. Even it's $35. So I mean, I say you give it a try. If you don't want to play a very complicated game like Path of Exile, even though Path of Exile is free, you could just hop in and try that out. But if you don't want something as complicated, you definitely go for Last Epoch. But the game itself it's just not as good as Path of Exile. And you know for a fact that Diablo 4 is never going to be as good as Last Epoch or Path of Exile, simply because of the fact that the devs don't want to take any risks. Look at each season mechanic. It's literally the same exact game. They did not add anything to it. They just changed the name from dungeon to cave. Now you get to go into caves instead of dungeons. Oh my god, look at that. It's the exact same shit with a little twist added, and they've been doing that every single season, and they just advertise the shit out of the season, and you feel, oh my god, they give you this trailer and they pay all this money into advertising. Just put all that money into the fucking game. Make a good game, man. Holy shit. They're never gonna be as good as Last Epoch or Path of Exile. I'm sorry if you're a Diablo fan. I don't think there's many Diablo fans out there. And also, what is Blizzard good at doing? They're good at stealing stuff. So take for example tempering in Diablo 4. They literally straight up just copied forging from Last Epoch. They saw that forging, which is it's the crafting system in Last Epoch. It's so good. It's really good. So they basically took that from Last Epoch and put that in Diablo 4. Now I don't care. You want to steal it? Go ahead. It's a really good mechanic. I'm glad you did that. But that's the thing. Blizzard will never take risks for they'll never take risks by themselves. They're just gonna find what works. They're gonna wait for small developers like 11th Hour Games, the people that made Last Epoch. They're gonna wait for those people to take the risks, and then if they see that, okay, that risk worked, let's take it. That's what they do. So they're always gonna be behind games like Last Epoch and Path of Exile, and that's just Blizzard nowadays. They do shitty games. They take no risks, and I mean, I hope they start. I hope Diablo 5 will be good, if they even make that. I don't know, but I've lost hope in Blizzard nowadays. I don't really trust Blizzard. It's been going downhill for Blizzard. So yeah. That was all for today. I just wanted to praise Path of Exile for being the king of ARPGs. It's just, if you've never played it, just download it. It's free. Just try it out. You'll love it. I'm sure you will. But that's everything for today. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.